Welcome to another exciting episode of the Epic Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Brad Sugars, the Chairman and CEO of Actioncoach, and today we're diving into the minds of some incredible business leaders, uncovering their real stories, strategies, and the secrets behind their victories. It's not just about success, it's about the journey, the hurdles, and turning challenges into opportunities. So let's jump right into it.
Welcome to the Epic Entrepreneur Podcast, the go-to spots for insights from the successful players in the business world. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Ray Skelton, the president of Specialty Group from Washington. Ray, welcome, and it's great to have you with us.
Great. It's great to be a part of this with you, Samak. I'm looking forward to this whole process.
Excellent. Ray, in that case, let's dive into the top 3 things you did that made you successful in business and how others can follow in your footsteps.
Well, as you can tell by my gray hair, hopefully some of these have been trial by error, but I think the real number one key for myself is we need to earn the trust of our team members and our colleagues as we work down through this, because we're really asking them to be a part of us as we go with that. And it is a journey. I think the other thing is to set clear expectations of what we're trying to do make sure that we focus on key tenets. And in our organization, it's safety, quality, and efficiency. Any of the day goes to the heck in the handbasket. They have those 3 things to satisfy that customer and carry us forward. And the willingness to adjust. We just need to be able to be adjusting in the world, in this economy. It is really turning quick. Since COVID, it's moving at an alarmingly fast rate. And so we've got to be willing to change and reassess.
Excellent. And so out of the top 3 that you mentioned, which is the most important to you, that you hold dearest to yourself?
I think that it's to earn the trust of your team members. In our case, we're a service business and we're people. Mm-hmm. And we need to make sure that they're willing to go along in this journey and help us as we go down. So that is the largest one that I would say that I keep on top of mind all day long.
Excellent. And speaking of gray hair, I know I have a few less than you. I have to catch up. So what has been the most memorable moment of your career so far, Ray?
Well, there's been a few, but they all tie around this one element is the engage in working with people as we go down and focus on what that unique opportunity that we're providing, and how are we experiencing that journey. As I said earlier, we're a service-oriented company. So not only do we have our most important customers, our internal customers, we have external customers as well. And are we meeting those expectations of both of those parties as we go down through there? That's been hugely important. And in our case, we're trying to strive for something, not just be the low-cost provider. It's to provide value and add that extra level for, in this case, or in our case, I should say, in the thermal and sound installation for their homes and their businesses.
Okay, excellent. Speaking of customers, what are the top 3 reasons your customers work for you or come to you?
Number one, energy savings. So we serve sort of a diverse market in there. So we work for end consumers and in the States here, we have production houses. So we work for a lot of those and institutions, whether they're hospitals or education facilities, we work for those general contractors. And so, number one is energy savings. And whether it's, Friday evening movie night and you've got your family around your house and it's a cold winter's day outside, you don't want your right shoulder to be different than your left shoulder. You want an enjoyable experience for the family, because those are what everybody remembers. It's not, do I have enough insulation in my wall? So we're wanting to help those people and save energy on that journey. And the other 2, it's just be willing to understand what you're doing for the customer, in this case, contractors, and then make sure we're executing on that. We have to deliver, even if we maybe did something that wasn't right. We got to own up to it, and we've got to deliver on that. So in the other areas, it's just doing what we say we're going to do, or in this case, what the documents tell us to do. And the third and last thing is let's have some fun along the way. We've got to have some fun. Life's frankly rather short, and we've got to enjoy it.
Indeed. Okay. Yes. And I'm sure you don't want cold shoulder for many of your customers out there. So, Ray, tell me, can you share some of the most innovative insulation or environmental solutions you have implemented recently?
Well, some of the interesting ones, I'm amazed daily just watching and listening to our people tell stories. One of them that comes to mind, and this is, and I know it's different price-wise for energy in different areas, but in this case, realtor bought a house for themselves, and it was remodeled by a contractor. And they thought, oh, well, geez, a contractor understands what's going on. And so they just called and had us come and do an investigation. We ran an infrared camera around and showed them all this, and it was just all lit up with red, which means energy is leaving.
Yes.
And it was a hot summer's day. And our guys go up and look. There's no insulation in the attic. Zero. Nothing. There's drywall or sheetboard and nothing above that. And then we opened up one wall cavity in a room that he didn't want, and there was no insulation in there. So we went systematically, starting with the top, and re-insulated that. And he sent us a note, a week ago, and said, I just cannot believe that a contractor wouldn't insulate a house. And then we're seeing that more and more, that's in a commonplace. Or the other one that was really touching, it happened earlier in the spring here, was a retired person, and the lady had lost her husband, and she just didn't know what to do. So she called, and our team went out and looked, and she didn't have enough insulation. And so we were able to work with her and get her the right amount of insulation and structure out a solution that worked for her. And those are the heartfelt moments. Or in that case, our crew ended up walking out with, like 24 cookies that she hand baked for everybody, just because she was so grateful for the help.
Oh, wow, that's a nice, touching moment. Ray, just coming to your industry, how do you see the industry evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, and what role do you see Specialty Group playing in that future?
Well, I think that there's a few very large tenants, but I'll talk about two of them.
Sure.
Number one is the construction industry. We have to change the way that we're building structures, especially here in the States. Like Europe, or unlike Europe, there went much more modular due to traffic loads and all the other restrictions. And there's been a little higher step on focus on that. And we need to start applying different construction methods of how we try to do that. That's one. The second thing is it's really, you don't see insulation for the most part, but it's pretty glamorous, right? I mean, you wear a different coat. You may not wear a coat in the summertime, but you'll wear a different coat in the wintertime, or a coat or a thicker coat, depending upon the temperature. And that's how insulation works. It needs to be able to breathe because moisture is everywhere, and we need to let moisture transfer through so it doesn't cause other issues. But the real element is we're in a glamorous business for the first time, in the construction industry, that you got a glamorous business, that insulation really does help save energy.
Excellent.
It is the key ingredient to reduce energy consumption.
Yes. And I think given the growing trends of the younger generation, they are quite conscious on how, they want to save the environment. And I think that's where also the demand is quite high out there. Now, Ray, talk to me about the beginning. What inspired you to get into business, and why this one?
Well, it comes back to two things. I was blessed. I think every one of us sat there and looked and say, well, or were we pleased with our childhood or not? And I was totally excited because I got to see my grandfather and my father, two very instrumental people in my life, have two separate businesses that they started and work through that. And, going through the growing pains of that because it's not always rosy. But seeing that firsthand. And then I took a opportunity to go work for another company for an extended period of time. And I really refined that. Act like you own the facility. Are your decisions tying back to the mission? Are your interactions with your customers or clients or third party people, are they moving the mission forward? And then have the opportunity to come and start. I bought assets out of two different businesses and started new businesses, and then now brought all of that data to application mode and start to apply it. I started the journey with not much gray hair, so you can see that I've stumbled along the way a little bit.
And what are some of the values your parents or your grandparents passed down to you, which is helping you today in your business?
I think a few. Number one, do what you say you're going to do. Number one. Number two, give back. You must give back. Whatever happens, life's dynamic, it's changing. You've got to give back. And another one maybe is you got to look yourself in the mirror every day. Are you putting down the best? In this case, am I being the best Ray I can be? And there's some times when you have a conversation and you look at yourself, it's like, yeah, I could play that differently next time. And I'm going to play it differently next time.
Brilliant. Speaking about giving back, so what steps does the specialty group take to contribute positively to the local community and the environment?
Well, a few things that, are all like what a lot of organizations do. We support all of our employees and team members to support their churches, their sports groups. Youth baseball is one big thing that's currently going on right now. And we've got some football coaches and we've got some people that go and help in summer camps. So support our people in doing what they want to do to give back to the community. The second thing is how can we as the organization lead the way? How do we give back? So and we typically choose 3 or 4 throughout the year that we give back to. So whether we do it on a quarterly basis, sometimes it's only 3, but we will go and support and help. In our one of the examples was to go feed at a soup kitchen, help give back there. Another one has been we've done an awful lot for the military retirees in the United States that want to relocate to this area. We'll go in and insulate their house and donate all of that. And the other thing is help people, when the seasons change, if they need clothes or in this neck of the woods, we have challenges with forest fires and we've had some this year and some people have lost their houses. So we'll, do a clothes drive. We'll go in and help support the community in the cleanup. So those are a few.
That's amazing. That's quite a bit. So well done. And speaking about your customers, how do you ensure that your services consistently meet and exceed customer expectations?
Well, a few items that we tackle there is we've got a video training program that we send all of our team members through, whether they're in doing the work or in their back of the office. That is a graduated program that they set through, 10 3-minute videos, and that passes this and then go on through. So we start with a level set of understanding what the expectation is. Then we reinforce that training throughout the year of sending everybody back through or adding new modules to that throughout the year. And lately we've been using VR headsets so they can get the opportunity to apply that. So whether they're going up and down a ladder,
yes,
for example, you've got the VR headset on and you step like you're going up a ladder. It's rather interesting perspective for the ones of us that have not had experience with the VR headset. the other elements that we do throughout that is we do internal audits. Our job sites go through a complete list when they're done, and they check off the stuff that they do. So this is what I was supposed to do. Did I do that? Did I take a picture after that, to demonstrate whether that's a clean site that we left. And thirdly, is we have a third party that comes through 2 times a year, possibly 3, unannounced, and do a quality assessment of our jobs that we do. We have to provide them a list of jobs. They come in, they do that, and then they give us a report back. So what we try to do is come at it, holistically, looking at ways that we can try to grow.
That's brilliant. Amazing. So just talk to me about when it comes to the challenges and opportunities that you see. How do you ensure? Let's talk about let's look at sustainability and innovation. Can you share some of the upcoming projects or innovations that you're particularly excited about when it comes to innovation and sustainability?
Well, I think it all comes around how can we save energy, not make more energy. I mean, why there's a need for that, clearly. But how can we just be respectful of the resources we've been given? And, you talked about earlier there that younger generation, or the upcoming generation, wants to protect the environment. Well, the ones of us that have seen a few more sunrises also want to protect the environment, from the standpoint is we want to be able to, it needs to be sustainable. So if we can look at consumption reduction, to play on words, then we should be exploring different ways in that. So, a typical wall that's behind me or behind yourself, is that doing what it's designed to do? And technology is helping with that, especially AI. Talked about moisture, getting these little moisture meters that may be, a half an inch or, 8 centimeters square, that you can put in a place, and it can transmit and send data back to you to see how moisture transfers. Being able to compare that to the outside temperatures. There are things that we need to do in the industry that advances in that, but we could just start by getting the baseline moved up to a consistent expectation, because structures have been around for a long time, right? I mean, in a lot of Europe, there are very, very old structures, and they're still standing. And then there's some new structures. So how do we get that up to a minimal thermal standard is a great place to start. And then allow technology to start challenging us.
That's amazing. So talk to me. I mean, you mentioned a couple of things. So how much does a small device which measures moisture in anyone's house cost?
In US dollars, they're still quite expensive, but they're working their way down. It's sort of like computers. Give them 6 months and the price will be half. So they're getting them very inexpensive. Some of the original ones, they started putting in concrete, and they would have a battery in them, and they would last for, a period of time as the concrete cured out. So these would be much smaller that I've seen, but they are coming down in price. But from a price standpoint, a handful of dollars a piece. So they're just not quite there yet, but they will get there. I'm hopeful.
Oh, well, yeah, fingers crossed we get there sooner than later. Talk to me about AI. What else are you seeing when it comes to AI that's being adapted into your industry? Well, business?
Obviously, it's helping good or bad in the ability to communicate, or help people communicate on a more consistent basis. The other thing I think it's helping with is it can go through consistent past data really good. So in our case, when we're working for a consistency and wanting to understand what our cost it takes to do a said task, we can now have AI go in there and say, okay, based upon these parameters, this is what we're seeing, which would help us maybe, we're hopeful that it can help us estimate projects at a more complete and accelerated path. to help those people when they're ready to make a decision, they can get it done. Are a couple areas we're trying to understand how it is on interpolating documents. We're finding some inconsistencies there, but there still needs to be a human element. But we're very hopeful that, in the next couple of generations of the product, that it will get more and more refined.
Okay, excellent. And Ray, tell me, do you have a business coach at this point in your journey?
I do. We have a business coach, and here in our community that we're at, and been a part of that for going on 8 years.
Brilliant. So talk to me about what has business been before having a coach and right now, 8 years down the line.
Well, we brought Ted on in an early stage. We had only been in business for about a year. And so we brought on the journey has been very, very helpful. It's been very challenging also at times as we've gone through that, but he's a great sounding board. I can come up with some real crazy ideas and my team gets sort of tired of them. So I pitch them by Ted now and then, and we might play ping pong with them and, refine them as we go.
Okay, excellent. And if you had to imagine, we're in 2024 and you never had a business coach with you, how different would your business look today?
Well, I think number one, it would be, only the information that my life experiences or whatever I could be a part of at the point. So it'd be rather siloed in my case. And I've learned that a little bit of Ray goes a long ways, and maybe I need a little more dilution. And so I'd be concerned that we would be only coming at it one direction instead of looking at it at multiple directions. Is one thing. I think the other thing is what you're doing when you start a business and you think like an entrepreneur. You really need. It's not about you. It's about how you can help your team, support your team, and your customers in this service or product that you're providing. So the real answer is just go find somebody to talk to. Business can be rather abrupt and it's not very enjoyable at times, and you need somebody you need to talk to.
Okay, great. Do you have an inner circle when it comes to your business?
I do. We have a leadership team, and that's a 5-member body, which I'm one of the 5 that sat on. And I look at it as an opportunity as an internal sounding board. Also, how do we prepare the next generation and give them an opportunity? In all those cases, they're the next generation, and we come around these events, whether it's an economic event, a condition similar to COVID, but not maybe that extreme. And you need to make sure you expose those people to the decisions that need to be a part of that so they can learn that, so we can perpetuate that as we go forward. Because it's really not about, in this case, our organization, it's about me. It's about our team and how we can then perpetuate this for it, being a real steward there. I personally have some other ones that I've learned to deal with just, as a married person, and those challenges that, come about and deal with through a peer group, just a group of people that you can talk through different things, whether it's business, they're all business owners or principals in businesses, and they've all been, through life. And it's just nice to talk through some different programs. And what did you do when it was similar here? Or what would you recommend that I investigate?
Yeah, brilliant. And talk to me, what advice would you give to any other entrepreneur who wants to thrive in your industry?
Well, number one, go for it. It's really not about the technical craft. There are people that you can get with the technical knowledge, but if you have it in your heart to try to make the place a better place, this is a wonderful industry to start being a part of, because you can instantaneously see results. Whether a person comes back Guys, at the end of the day, and they got a smile on their face, and they've been coming back the last 5 days, and they've just sort of had a frown on their face. It's just those little moments that build the journey. It's very rewarding. It can be challenging, like all businesses, but it's a very rewarding career, and you can see your results very quickly.
And Ray, if you had to do something different, if you look back, and would it be anything different from what you're doing today, or would it still be this particular space?
Well, it might not be this particular space, but it would definitely be in something that you could build.
Right.
I enjoy interactions with the different humans' perspectives and the way that you deal with it, working in the elements. In our case, the 4 seasons, or in a lot of the world, the 2 seasons you have, hot and hotter, is, how you work through and get that constructed. Then you can see the results when somebody's going down that. If they're using a building, or if you built them a house, or if it's a road that makes their commute easier, or it's a water line that provides fresh water to a community that had to travel for it.
And how does your company stay adaptable and innovative given the changing landscape?
Well, yeah, that can be a challenge in the construction industry. I mean, the one challenge in the construction industry, think back 80 years ago. What did a computer look like 80 years ago? You couldn't probably get it in the size of the buildings that you and I are both in. To now, it's the size of a phone. So there's been lots of innovation in those technologies. Construction really hasn't changed in the United States over those 80 years. I mean, different practices a little bit, but the production rates have been very similar. So it is a challenge for us to focus on innovation. So our innovation is better materials, higher performing, lower thicknesses, so you can get more durability, because with communication, there's more and more things wanting to go in these wall cavities. Focused on different ways to build it instead of 100% labor. How can the robotic world help? How can we get quicker data back to adjust to meet the current conditions? Are 3 areas that we have to work on, and it's challenging. There are groups out there, there's support that you can, in industry, experts that you can go on, but really at this point, you're doing a lot of trial by error.
Got it. And just one of the last few questions, what book are you reading right now?
What book am I reading right now? I went back to Good to Great. I just enjoy that. I've got it right here. I'm looking up at, but it's been a while since I read it, so I went back to that. And just another one that happens to be behind you that I just put my eyes on is The Billionaire in Training. I've been through that book, so I'm spending time this summer going back and reconnecting with some of those books that. Maybe I don't read them from cover to cover, but I go into them and say, like, I forgot that. I need to get that. How can I apply that to where I'm at right now?
Okay. And why Good to Great? Why that particular book out of all the books that you have?
Well, I just, it spoke to me. One Saturday afternoon, I was in my office at my house, and I saw the book, and I'm like, and then I thought of where I was when I read it the first time. I'm like, yeah, and that made me feel like that'll help me here where I'm at in this journey right now, and wanting to jump back in it.
Excellent. All right. Ray, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Suman. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of my gray-haired moments as we went down the journey here. You've been a wonderful host. I wish you the very best, and have a wonderful day.
I enjoyed myself too. Thank you, Ray.
And that's a wrap for today's epic conversation here on Epic Entrepreneurs. Huge thanks to our amazing guest for pouring their heart into sharing their journey. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, share it, or hit that bell. But until next time, let's make sure you keep dreaming, take massive action, and stay epic.